We are leaving Playa El Suncel, the beach next to Playa El Tunco, the most famous surf towns in El Salvador. We had an amazing day camping oceanside. We've had a taste for El Salvador and loved it. We'll be back for sure, but it's time to move on to Honduras. It was really hot, so we were looking for a pet-friendly hotel close to the El Salvador-Honduras border. We stayed in Cerro Pelon, a small town less than 30 minutes to the border. It was nothing special. In fact, we're pretty sure you could rent by the hour. But they had great air conditioning, there was pupuseria down the street, and they had gated parking lot, which is something to look for when you're traveling. Many hotels just have street parking, which is not ideal for us. We enjoyed fresh pupusas and a couple of cold Goldens for supper, as us and the pups cooled down. We were crossing at the El Amatillo border crossing. As you're approaching the border on the El Salvador side, you'll want to veer off the CA1 highway and get on the number 1. We found out the hard way that the CA1 takes you to the truck crossing border, so we had to circle back to the tourist crossing on the number 1. There are fixers on both the El Salvador and Honduras border, and they are very aggressive. And it can be misleading as to who is the official border workers and who's a fixer. There will be a border official that asks to see your passport while in your vehicle. Look for the person who has a full uniform, a badge, possibly a gun. They're often surrounded by a mob of fixers who are trying to talk to you. If you give them your passport and they don't give it back, they are not border staff, they are a fixer. You need to decide quickly if you do or do not want help. If you don't want help, tell them and get your passport back. Be firm and tell them you won't pay them. If you want help from a fixer, discuss all the fees upfront and tell them you won't pay more and that you want a receipt for every official expense other than their fee. Exiting El Salvador was easy and fast. It only took us about 30 minutes. Once you're done all the required exit paperwork, you will drive across the bridge into Honduras. The border offices are just on the other side. We got bamboozled into using a fixer here. We thought they were a border agent, but they weren't, and they started heading to the building with our passports. We hadn't had any trouble getting through any border without help. This crossing was very busy, and he explained if you don't use a helper, it can take a lot longer, maybe up to 8 hours. It was really hot that day, and we had planned to go all the way across Honduras in one day. So for $30, we agreed to use the help of a fixer. The fixer did cut into the front of the line, speeding things up, and was a big help with the dogs. For the dogs, you have to drive about 2 kilometers away over to the transport area. The SEPA agent is in a trailer that is set up for transport trucks to pull up to the window. The fixer sent us there and back with a guide, which was very helpful. The problem with the fixer was right at the end. We had all our entrance stamps, our tip, the dogs were checked in, we paid the fixer the agreed upon $30. And then he insisted on an additional $32.50 for road taxes and $60 for various bogus fees, with no receipt, just pay the cash to him. Well, lesson learned. We needed to be more clear up front and be more clear about getting receipts. At the end of the day, it only took us 2 hours to enter Honduras, which is relatively quick. Yes, we think we got swindled and paid too much, but we like to think that the money will help his family. Driving through Honduras was very beautiful. We began in the warm, dry flats, but we're headed into the mountains. We decided to spend only one day in Honduras, otherwise the veterinarian health checks that we'd had done in Mexico were going to expire, and we would need new ones. A pretty big hassle and expense that we didn't want in order to spend another day or two in Honduras. Honduras does border Nicaragua, so we can come back another time and explore more. We stopped at a supermarket along the way to do a restock on groceries and headed to a camp spot close to the Honduras-Nicaragua border. We camped at Centro Campestre El Potrillo. It is outside the town of San Marcos, about 30 minutes from the Nicaragua border. This is an equestrian farm with cabins for rent, lots of green space for camping. They also have several shaded seating areas and a nice pool for day use, and host special events like birthday parties and weddings. This place has really nice bathrooms and showers, as well as an on-site restaurant. We paid $30 to camp here, and that included use of the grounds, pool, bathrooms, and showers. There also was free electricity to plug in and charge our devices. We had a nice relaxing afternoon. The daytime temperature decreased by 10 degrees Celsius from the flatlands to the mountains. First thing in the morning, we are headed to the Nicaragua border. We are in the process of moving from Canada to Nicaragua, so we're almost home. But we plan to spend a few days in Samado Canyon and Esteli before heading home to San Juan del Sur. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next amazing adventure.